Yeah, there's so much to consider as we make our way into this final championship game here in Toronto. Andres, he's bringing a lot of results with him. See that 2022 regional championship, but alongside this last few results, it's all been on the back of Raging Vault. Top 32 in Monterey, top 64 in Sao Paulo, and has had some other great results too. Really loves this deck, did not want to put it down, and for good reason.
Yeah, really tight-knit community over in Chile. Lots of these players traveling with one another to these events across the world. And plenty of them playing this Raging Bolt archetype. Andres taking it all the way now to the finals, and it will be Giovanny Sasso on the other side of the table with Gardevoir, a mainstay of the format. And I will say, Kyle, if history is anything for us to look back on, Gardevoir has traditionally done pretty solidly into this matchup.
Yeah, this is one of the matchups that made Raging Bolt start to fade away. Maybe there was a little bit of a resurgence when we saw the baby Raging Bolt really as one of the main focuses, starting to pick away at those Pokemon, but you just don't see that as much. There's Bravery Charm. There's so much help for Giovanni's side of the board to get that set up and use single prize Pokemon to take 2 prize KOs.
Going to be the name of the game for these players. We'll see how the back and forth goes. Is Andres able to work in the single prize Raging Bolt that he plays? Let's also remember as well, for the first time here, these players are sharing deck lists in the opening. So before they set up, they each had 2 minutes to look at the other player's deck lists. So they're well aware of the tech cards that one another has.
Yeah, it's important to see that as we also see the prize cards, and oh boy, 2 Psychic Energies, not great to see. Pink card, however, and Screamtail.
Oh my goodness.
Can't be great.
Yeah, Screamtail in the prize is not good, but also for Andres, the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon is one of his big answers to this matchup. Being able to power that Pokemon up through the power of Energy Switch and Crispin, using Torrential Pump to KO multiple Ralts or maybe multiple Monkey Dory if it so came up. That is not something he'll have access to, as that Pokemon is hiding away in the prizes.
A really unique inclusion that we see here. It even has the water energy to go with that as you'd need, and is thinking about everything when you go into a match like this. Has a little bit of an answer, won't see that. How do you pivot in this stage when you're on the biggest stage trying to win this championship?
They had to come all the way to Canada to play this game, but 2 players from Latin America, Andres Gajardo versus Giovanny Sasso. Here we go. Let's get into this final match. It will be Giovanny going first with the start of the Ralts here in his active spot. Mew EX over on the side of Andres does provide plenty of movement thanks to its free retreat, but maybe not a Pokemon he'd love to have in play to kick the game off. Giovanny will play a Nest Ball here. Already has at least a Ralts into play, so can threaten the Rare Candy Gardevoir line, which he, is playing 3 copies, so leaning into that Rare Candy a little bit heavier than some of the other builds we have seen. Let's see what he gets off this Nest Ball.
It looked like there was an Ultra Ball to go along with this, so could see a little bit of help, and immediately starting to pick out the important pieces of the deck. You have that 1 copy of the Team Rocket's Watchtower. Real big consideration there for when you can play that down. If you combine that at the right time after a few prize cards, maybe Noctowl won't be a big issue for you later on in the game.
That is a huge card for Giovanny in this matchup. A big card of the weekend, as you called to in our opening here. Aiming to take down these Noctowl decks specifically, but worth noting, Giovanny will have limited access to that card. The main way he tends to find it is through the use of Secret Box, which of course is in the prizes. That'll be it for Giovanny's opening turn. A pair of Ralts being put into play. And for Andres, there are plenty of options here. It will start off with the Fan Rotom.
The best option.
He will have access to every Pokemon in his deck right now, thanks to that transformative start Ditto.
You will see why so many players are drawn to Raging Bolt, at least in their minds. They might not have the wherewithal to go play this in one of the biggest tournaments, but if you settle down with this deck, you see what it can do. With the Fan Rotom, Fan Call, you search out all this help here with the Hoot and Noctowl, but also Area 0 Underdepths, Mew EX. This can turn into a massive board state before you even bat an eye.
Yeah, fan call searching out 3 Pokemon with 100 HP or less that are, of course, the colorless type. It will be 2 Hoot Hoot and a Noctowl added in. Interesting to not see the Ditto. I wonder if that is possibly waiting in the hand or if he will think better of putting some other Pokemon into the active spot at this point in the game. It looks like 2 Hoot Hoot come down. Noctowl is waiting there to be added, and that here's your Underdepths. Is interesting to see this early on. It is going to be because he needs it if he wants to go for the Assault Landing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you already know how you want to lock up this opening turn, may as well throw down the energy, have a turn 1 KO on a Ralts lined up for yourself, and start to build on this board a little more. You see now with the Teal Mask Ogerpon, any grass energy also turns into an additional card here, and you get energies accelerated on the board.
This is exactly what Andres wants to do with his deck. Be aggressive, be fast, be the one asking the questions, and force your opponent to find the answer. Assault Landing deals 70 damage. That is enough, of course, to KO Ralts. You can only use that attack, of course, if there is a stadium in play, so that Area 0 Underdepths had to come out. That is going to be Andres striking first on his very first turn. Finds Professor Sada's Vitality. That is not too bad to open up some options for him in the future. Let's see what Giovanny has. Forced, of course, to promote this Ralts. Debates benching a Monkey Dory. He's going to think better of it, though. Looks like it may be discarded for an upcoming Ultra Ball, and that, sure enough, will be the case of going down alongside Gardevoir EX. Is this going to have to fetch out Pheasantipity for Giovanny? Is that the situation he finds himself in?
Yeah, it may be the case at this point. We've seen a few times for Giovanny on the stream finding that rare candy at the optimal time. He held out maybe to see it just one more time, but it did not pan out here. Has to throw away these resources, and now we'll see 3 more cards. Really needs to find an answer here soon. You can see on the other side, not only is the knockout lined up for the Ralts, but you could even go as far to KO the Pheasantipity soon with the Noctowl in hand.
So many plays available to Andres thanks to the Jewel Seeker ability of the Noctowl. It's going to be an Iono from Giovanny, sending Andres' hands to the bottom as well as his own. Each of these players will get a number of cards equal to the remaining prize cards that they have. So 5 for Andres and 6 for Giovanny. Still flip the script to work with 3 more cards being drawn. Worth noting as well here, Kyle, Giovanny is only playing 2 Ralts this weekend. We so often see 3 included, with 1 Ralts going down and now just that 1 remaining in the active spot. Is that cause for concern?
Well, it's a 2-1-2 line, but when you draw, 9 cards in this spot with Iono along with Pheasantipity, you sure enough do find enough resources. Rare Candy and Ultra Ball, Earthen Vessel with Psychic Energy. There's enough for a Gardevoir to be attacking in this spot, but can you find something a little more at this point?
Yeah, it might be on the back of just this Gardevoir. Giovanny going to cross his fingers that it would not be KO'd, as his plays on the future turns may be somewhat limited. We'll see maybe if he can prep an energy on something like Lily's Clefairy EX to respond to a potential Raging Bolt EX on Andres' side.
Oh, a lot to think about. I see the Nest Ball now. I wonder if my eyes are deceiving me as we see so much golden cards on there, but with the Night Stretcher, there's guaranteed Gardevoir. Now, what do you set up here with that secondary Pokemon of the Nest Ball? You could go for something. Sometimes you'd like something like the Screamtail here, but we know that's in the prize cards this time around. It really limits your options.
Not going to be available for sure. Yeah, Lily's Clefairy, maybe Mega Diancie we could see work in here at some point as well. Off the Earthen Vessel, we do see the basic Psychic and basic Darkness energy added to Giovanny's arsenal. With the Nest Ball and an Ultra Ball in hand, we can indeed see Rare Candy plus Gardevoir happen. We will see a turn 2 attack from Giovanny. The question will just be, which attack does he want to use?
And with the Dark Energy added, that now makes you believe that at least Ultra Ball or the Nest Ball will go for Monkey Dory at this stage. Always feels nice to remove some of that damage from your Pokemon, spread that to the other side, and maybe start to soften up some of these Pokemon like a Hoot Hoot, like a Fanrodom, that eventually turn into a free prize card over the course of a few turns.
There it is, Rare Candy, Gardevoir, Night Stretcher to bring back the Monkey Dory from the discard pile, and now Nest Ball is still available to find some other attacker. but only 3 Psychic Energy in the discard pile. That is only enough to power up the Gardevoir EX. Let's see if he goes with a different attacker here.
Ooh, this is one way. As we saw the way that the cards played out, this is the riskier option. You don't bring back a Gardevoir. Instead, you leave one in the discard pile, and now you really have all your eggs in that basket. However, this leads to 2 additional Pokemon onto the board, and with the combination of Frillish and Munkidori, maybe the item lock here would be beneficial. We haven't seen a single energy in the discard pile yet. How do you accelerate through this?
Yeah, this will be a tough one for Andres here to overcome. His deck is extremely reliant on item cards. He plays so many of them, so he will certainly be limited in his options. Giovanny will place 2 damage counters on the active with the use of Psychic Embrace, bringing back a Psychic Energy. There is a Bravery Charm as well. Munkidori's Adrenabrain moves 2 over, and then the Oceanic Gloom puts that on up to 40 damage, setting it up to be KO'd next turn with an Adrenabrain should he wish. Now, Andres off his 5 cards and his singular draw for turn. Let's see what he's working with.
If item lock wasn't a good idea in your head beforehand, it certainly was now. Look at this hand. Earthen Vessel and Ultra Ball along with Professor Sada's Vitality. It was all there if you could play an item. Instead now, left wondering what could have been. And do you just have to attack into this Frillish, reluctantly hoping to get through this little wall here?
Oh, Crispin could work out nicely, though, as a way to still get off some semblance of an attack, as he will attach both of those energy to the Raging Bolt EX on the bench. He, of course, can retreat this Fan Roadhome down and then still deal 140. Bravery Charm's not going to be enough to protect the Frillish from that attack.
Yeah, no, great call. That was a sneaky supporter thrown in there as well, but it takes all of your resources off the board, every energy committed. But at this point, that's pretty okay. You need to see those energies in the discard pile so that you can use your supporters later on.
Worth saying, though, Kyle, it will be extremely easy for Giovanny to respond to this. Should he be able to find Lily's Clefairy EX, Fairy Zone, giving all Dragon Pokemon in play Psychic Weakness. That means that Giovanny could take the knockout with Gardevoir, could take the knockout with Lily's Clefairy. He's going to have plenty of options. I think he is very fine with how this turn is playing out.
We see Andres, he has an idea of what can happen too, actually deciding not to play down the Latias and save the energy here, knowing that it's pretty likely that the energies were to fall off the Raging Bolt at any point anyways.
Lily's Determination, the supporter of choice for Giovanny. He has not taken a prize card yet, so he will draw 8 cards off of this supporter. Massive amount of cards to be able to be seen. Let's not also forget the Pheasantipity EX still in play. Flip the Script still on the table.
Yeah, so much to see. What, 11 cards at this stage of the game. You have the Psychic Energy in the discard pile, and all except for Screamtail available for your additional Pokemon and attackers. Basically, you just want to see the Lily's Clefairy, and then you can work in some really unique Psychic attackers afterwards.
You see the Jellicent was one of the cards being drawn. Looks like a card has hit the floor, but is able to be added back now. There are the 8. There's the Mega Diancie, and yes, Ultra Ball will be able to ensure that Lily's Clefairy is found this turn. 3 more cards still from that Flip the Script. Looks like Nest Ball now added in for Giovanny.
Yeah, beautiful find here with the Dark Energy along with this. That means double Munkidori. Typically, when you're using Psychic Embrace, it's in those increments of 3, and you can move 6 damage counters over. You can do a lot of work. Starting off here with a free prize card now, essentially netting a 12-card hand off of that Lily's.
Always feels really strong to take a prize in the middle of your turn. Giovanny gets to see 1 more card and still has his attack to be able to use here.
Yeah, really smart to set it up in this fashion. You see the most cards, and now he makes his decisions. Uses his item cards to get through the deck and see every resource available. Just maximizes all of your potential. And here we now see Lily's Clefairy. We are in the Fairy Zone. It's about to get wild.
I don't think Raging Bolt is going to enjoy this Fairy Zone very much.
The rose-colored glasses don't look great there.
And the question here for me was just going to be, what Pokemon does Giovanny choose to attack with? The Mega Diancie is in the hand, so that seems like an okay option. It would give Andres 3 prize cards if he was able to reach for it as a knockout. He could also just attack with the Lily's Clefairy EX itself. That is certainly an option. Let's see which route he goes, Kyle.
Right. I don't hate even if you avoid a knockout and set up an awkward position with Monkey Dory here. If you want to attack in, make use of the Psychic Weakness and move damage counters over, you can set it up to where a Raging Bolt is KO'd on the following
You're looking
turn.
at a little bit of a mind bend angle here.
That's where I'm at. I don't. Your opponent's on a four prizes remaining. If you really want to value your Gardevoir, I think the safest thing you can do for that Pokemon is confuse the biggest attacker on the field.
Andres quickly taking a look at Giovanni's discard pile as his second Night Stretcher has hit the discard, and this Lily's Clefairy will come up. We're going to see some damage counters being moved over, and that means that Giovanni is content with taking this KO. Full Moon Rondo, 20 damage plus 20 more for each benched Pokemon in play. With the weakness, it's all more than enough to take down the mighty Raging Bolt.
And this is confidence that Giovanni has in his hand. Once more, it's another deck where you're not worried about hand disruption on the other side of the table. If your hand says you've got Night Stretcher to follow up Lily's Clefairy, you can put pressure on a Hoot Hoot, then the prize exchange doesn't matter nearly as much to you. Giovanni clearly could just close the game out on the following turn if we don't see a Noctowl right here, right now.
Andres' hand is freed up now with no item lock from Giovanni. Frillish not utilized, so that does open, of course, plenty of more options. Andres also would be able to utilize his Sandy Shocks EX now that Giovanni has taken 2 prize cards, so that is another way he could get more energy cards into play.
And I think we saw a really key card there for Andres on that side of the table. It is the Prime Catcher in hand. If there is a world where you can play down enough energies onto this board, perhaps Gardevoir EX falls this turn, that would be pretty massive, and it really asks a lot of Giovanni in this spot when both Gardevoir would then be in the discard pile.
Andres also does want to evolve the Hoot Hoot that has the 30 damage on it. It's in range of being KO'd by some Monkey Dory on the next turn. I honestly wonder if he wants to evolve his second Hoot Hoot as well, as the threat of triple Monkey Dory, should Andres take a knockout, is very much alive.
Yeah, there's a world where if you do remove the Gardevoir, then you're only worried about 40 damage on the other side, so just that single Noctowl would be okay, but we're asking so much of Andres on this point. He has 1 energy on the board. He's already used his ability from his Teal Mask Ogerpon. He needs to make some magic happen.
Ultra Ball discards Latias and the basic fighting. Looks like Pheasantipity is going to be a potential choice. I'm going to take stock of the rest of his options first before locking it in. Sandy Shock's considered, but no, Raging Bolt will be the play. And I wonder if this is signaling Kyle he's going all in on taking a big knockout, or will he kind of hedge his bets a little bit here, saying, hey, Giovanni, I noticed you put down both your Night Stretchers already. If I KO this Lily's Clefairy EX, you may have a hard time getting another attacker established.
Yep, we see a few good cards in the hand to go along with this. With the Noctowl now, we have the Jewel Seeker. You can search out a little more help with this Night Stretcher. He's got the Glass Trumpet as well for an additional energy to the board. This is how you get to the magic number of, what, 5 discards to KO this Gardevoir. It doesn't feel like an optimal play, but sure enough, that is the lifeline of the deck on the other side.
Whatever Andres does here, Giovanni will be able to knock out either of these Raging Bolts. If he KOs the active Clefairy, Giovanni can just simply send up Gardevoir EX, use Monkey Dories, and take that knockout, even without Fairy Zone active. And of course, if he knocks out Gardevoir, then Giovanni, will just promote the Lily's Clefairy EX and simply take the knockout necessary. So Andres is trying to set up the 2-turn play here. He's going to take 2 prizes here. How can he best set up to try to close things out, assuming he's going to get disrupted on the next turn? Yeah, that's what he's trying to do, just get a bunch of energy in play.
And he's doing just that. That's perfect. You just need to flood the board with the energies right now. He has the resources, and you can leave one of those energies on the benched Raging Bolt. If that works out for you, then it's just Lily's Clefairy against you. 2-1 prize cards remaining, and Andres has plenty of resources. He still has a Hoot Hoot available, too, that could evolve. We haven't seen the Watchtower on the other side. Maybe he makes something happen with that last 2 prize cards.
Lots of energy being added. Glass Trumpet played. You can only use that item card if you've got a Terra Pokemon in play. Then you get to attach an energy to 2 of your benched colorless Pokemon. A really nice card in this deck. I mean, it effectively says Raging Bolt EX does 140 more damage.
Yeah, and you think of the possibilities here with Sandy Shocks as well. There's just, you can steal upwards of 8 energies from nowhere onto the board state. And look at this, multiple grass energies and a Sada's Vitality to go along with this. If you were worried about energies beforehand, you're not now. There's a big KO lined up, and Andres is just 2 prize cards away from closing this out against a Gardevoir-less deck on the other side. How does Giovanny come back from this?
Giovanny could technically win the game on the next turn, Kyle. He needed to find Rare Candy, Gardevoir, and the 3rd Monkey Dory with the Darkness Energy. That would set him up to close out this game using those Adrenabrains, KOing either the Hoot Hoot or the Noctowl, and then getting through, of course, the active Raging Bolt with his Lily's Clefairy EX. It's a lot to ask for. Let's see if he can do it.
We have to speak to the greed, though. How do you find that Gardevoir 2 in the prize or 2 in the discard pile now? But
Maybe
there's
with a
Super Rod Ultra Ball in hand.
That is his last recovery option. He does still need Rare Candy.
Rare Candy here.
1, 2, 3. He does not find it.
Right, this isn't the end just yet. We do not see a Latias on the other side, so is there a chance to maybe stall something out with a Frillish?
I mean, could he just go counter catcher up Raging Bolt plus Iono Andres to 2? That would be crossing your fingers, of course, that Andres does not draw out of it, but perhaps if he found the Watchtower, he'd feel more comfortable with a line like that.
Nope, that's a great point. If you find that card, you have a little more of a chance. I wonder if even at this stage of the game, you would feel more comfortable with a different supporter just to see more cards at this stage. But he committed to this line, but rightfully so. If you found the Rare Candy there, you were golden.
Ultra Ball will discard Jellicent EX and Latias EX. Looking through the deck, there is Curlia there. There's that Rare Candy Giovanny was crossing his fingers for. He's taking stock of his options, trying to determine if he has a line to close it out this turn, and it does seem like those lines are fading.
And to take a peek at the prize cards once more, can you think of a card that could have helped out in this stage with that secret box just sitting there waiting for him?
Or the option of Screamtail, of course. I mean, many cards that Giovanny wished he would have, just not quite available to him. So many cards still in his hand to work with currently. Looks like he'll just be thinning out that Technical Machine Devolution, attaching it to Fezandipity. Gonna take a look at Andres' discard pile, see what resources he has exhausted. For Andres, I think at this point, seeing Giovanny kind of take this long on this turn, he's probably feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and it means that you're probably not seeing the Gardevoir at this stage. There's contemplation for which supporter to use, and when they start counting out your resources, you start thinking about Iono. But there is news that there are 3 Fighting Energy in the discard pile. You know the deck list, so the reach for a Raging Bolt definitely requires something like that Professor Sada's Vitality, some way to get these Pokemon back. But we see Giovanni, he's going to give himself a chance. He brings the Gardevoirs back into the deck. Can you imagine a world where this Iono found Rare Candy
Don't speak that into existence.
I have to. That's our job.
That would be an incredible thing to see. And though I don't know how helpful it actually would be unless Giovanny could also get down that 3rd Monkey Dory right now with a Darkness Energy, as it still leads to him taking a KO this turn and just crossing his fingers. It actually will be Frillish taking up that final bench space. Giovanny does have Counter Catcher in hand.
Ooh, and this was
for the Lily.
This was the consideration. Now, if he did have a different supporter, then do you feel more comfortable just going for the Watchtower? If you see this card, you feel pretty good that it will be difficult for your opponent to find the last resources.
Watchtower plus Item Lock would be a pretty strong combo against Andres' deck.
I mean, think about it. You've already seen Prime Catcher. You don't have any other item cards. The only way to get a Fighting Energy back would be with the supporter of choice. So now you can't use Boss's Orders and that supporter.
6 cards being drawn. There is the Adrenabrain moving 3 from the active Monkey Dory over to that Noctowl. Will retreat off that Darkness Energy, and that card is in the discard pile for the rest of the game as all of his recovery options have been exhausted. 1 more damage counter moved over to Hoot Hoot, and it will be Oceanic Gloom. 40 damage.
Yes.
Thanks to that weakness.
That's not how
Definitely
it works.
not 1. I think he's still a little fresh off of...
That's still not how it works.
He's a little fresh off his game against Karis, where he was getting hit with Badoo very, very consistently. Oh my goodness.
Look at this hand.
That is a lot of energy cards, Kyle.
Okay, well, if you were worried about finding the resources to take a 2-prize KO, all of them are right there. However, you cannot promote the right Pokemon in the active spot. You will have a pile of energies by the end of this turn. But what is the most impactful decision that you can make here? Does include charging up that baby Raging Bolt? How do you move from the active spot?
It's going to be a Teal Dance for one to kick off the sequence, and I think the only way to move forward looks like it will be through Professor Sada's Vitality, attaching energy to 2 ancient Pokemon and drawing 3 cards. It feels like a long time since I've said those words, but that's what we're doing here in Toronto this weekend.
I think I like the fighting energy to the baby Raging Bolt and then trying to top deck the Latias at this stage, moving the Raging Bolts and opening up some options with the baby Raging Bolt maybe would be the most impactful.
There's Boss, Energy Switch, and Professor Sada. No Latias, so Andres will have to settle for a KO on the Frillish, should he so choose.
I don't think you do.
But maybe he just passes?
Yeah, he has Boss's orders. You don't want to open up the bench space. You don't want to allow Pheasantipity to attack. And the Frillish is stuck in the active spot because there's no Rare Candy Gardevoir just yet. You can't move this Pokemon. I'm not sure this is the right way to go about this here. Giovanni's going to see a ton of cards, and he just needs to find, what, a Dark Energy for his Monkey Dory and Rare Candy Gardevoir to make this happen?
I'm not sure that the Lightning Energy was on that baby Raging Bolt, so we do need to get that sorted out.
That's
because
correct.
It was the Fighting Energy on that Raging Bolt. The Lightning Energy was from the active Raging Bolt EX, so we'll get that sorted very, very soon. I'd like to see that happen before Giovanny kind of takes this turn, as it could impact his decisions here. But he will start with the Darkness Energy. I think that's always happening, of course. The Monkey Dory gets the Darkness Energy attached, and Lily's Determination could be the supporter of choice, and sure enough, it will be.
This is a hedge, though. There was Artisan in the hand, but he's going to make it so that the Rocket's Watchtower is also a play for him. Doesn't want to fully commit to the Rare Candy Gardevoir line here to try to win the game, but does have a great setup right now to get things moving.
Yeah, so what happened here is Andres was debating what energy cards to discard with his use of Bellowing Thunder. He needed to discard 2. He was moving the energy cards around as he was doing it, and he took the Lightning off of his active Raging Bolt. He took a Fighting off of his benched non-EX Raging Bolt and a Grass Energy off of the Teal Mask Ogerpon, was debating what to do, and then decided to discard the 2 and then put the Lightning on the Raging Bolt non-EX on the bench, which, of course, it did not have. The Lightning Energy had to be on the active because you need the Lightning and Fighting to use Bellowing Thunder in the first place.
Right, so just swapping those energies back into place would resolve this issue for us, and then we can get to the most important draws of the tournament.
Yes.
Which I think everybody would love to see at this stage.
I do wonder what the resolution is going to be to this, though. Is it going to be swapping the Fighting and the Lightning, or should that Lightning that's on the little Raging Bolt be on the Raging Bolt EX in the active spot because he didn't discard the Lightning? I don't know which way they go with it here for the ruling.
Yeah, and I mean that could be impactful. You see another Lightning Energy that's on the other Raging Bolt EX now. So when you think about which energies could potentially close out a game, if Giovanny can't find the answer, may just depend on which one we see here. It looks like there's going to be a swap. That's fine with me.
Yeah, sure. We got it sorted out. Those energies weren't the board state is correct. So we are A-okay.
All right, cameraman.
Giovanny is continuing on here with his Lily's Determination.
Lock in. This is everything at this stage of the game. If Giovanny can find the resources he put back in to Gardevoir for this moment. He wants to see Rare Candy Gardevoir. If so, he can knock out that Hoot. He can knock out the active.
Ooh, I see the Rare Candy. I don't see the Gardevoir.
But he still has the Pheasantipity to draw through at this point. He saved it for this spot. 3 cards. Does he see it?
No Gardevoir EX found. No Ultra Ball. So many of those resources have already been exhausted. A shake of the head from Giovanny. Not even a Curlia to try to get something established.
And then look at this. He finds the Artisan once more. The card that he could have played down. The card he could have thinned a little bit, but he does see that little reward in the Watchtower to potentially help him stick around for an additional turn. But there's only 1 prize remaining for Andres. He has 3 energies on the board. What else can you do? Just a KO here. What's the answer for Andres? He has the Professor Sada's Vitality, and he will take the opening game here in Toronto.
Andres Gajardo gets the Game 1 win with Raging Bolt over Giovanny's Gardevoir. What a close game, and Giovanny was unable to recreate some of that Rare Candy Gardevoir magic we saw from him in top 4. He's going to be left reeling a little bit and wondering how to proceed here. He's got a couple more games to try to sort this out, and you can see him flashing to Andres. I prized Screamtail, certainly a key card in this matchup.
It's so helpful. It's the one awkward Pokemon that you can't really work around for Andres. You don't have a way to just add that little chip damage and take it off. Instead, you just have to watch it clear out 2 prize Pokemon back and forth. This is how we got into this opening game here of our championship, with Andres absolutely going wild with this fan Rotom into some quick KOs.
Yeah, it's all about the aggression with Raging Bolt. No matter what format you find yourself in, that is going to remain a constant, going to remain true. Big one-hit knockouts, finding cheap KOs where you can with single prize Pokemon, and a little bit of a mishap here perhaps with the movement of the energy. We did get it sorted though, and all was a-okay as Andres was able to close out this game on his next turn. Giovanny tried to respond with the Lily's Clefairy, but Andres had the game-winning card in hand, Professor Sada's Vitality.
Oh boy, well, that was a great way to start things off here. I'm sure that Giovanny has a few more tricks up his sleeve to try to give us a game number 3 in this spot. Should be a pretty good matchup. We do know that Andres does have that Wellspring Ogerpon. Maybe we won't see it in the prizes this time around. A lot to think about as we move into game number 2.
And a really strong opening for both of these players, honestly. Giovanny with that Screamtail in his active spot. And interesting to note here, Kyle, Giovanny has chosen to go first, something we've seen very consistently from these setup deck players when they play against the turbo decks. They want to make them go second. They don't want to give them that extra turn to get an additional energy into play. But Andres here with his best opener in the whole deck.
Yep.
Splup.
Well, hey, do you like fair and balanced Pokemon? Because let's just ruin both of their lives.
Oh my goodness. 2 of the Pokemon that Andres would love to grab off this Ditto would be the Mega Kangaskhan EX or the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. Those are both in the prizes. Both players have prized their A-Spec, and there's 2 Monkey Dory and Giovanni's prizes.
Do you like having a nice wide bench? Well, you only have 1 Area 0 under depths for the rest of the game. Good luck.
So many reasons to pick apart these prize cards here. That one of Energy Switch as well, one of the main ways you would piece together the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon play were it to be available. So it's going to be a slower go of things, but Andres will continue to be the aggressor as he is finding the knockout on this opening turn. Crispin finds the Fighting Energy and a Lightning. Earthen Vessel discards 1, and he's going to just knock out this Screamtail. And yes, Lily's Clefairy is a big threat to the Dragon-type Pokemon in general. Less so if you don't have any Pokemon on your bench, Kyle.
I mean, this was pretty close to a knockout on a Lily's Clefairy here. The Teal Mask Ogerpon is going to be in play now, and you'll have the energy. If there was access to that Prime Catcher, we could have seen some real fireworks. This is not a list that plays something like the Iron Bundle to move Pokemon, but could you imagine if we saw that too? There's just so much that this deck can do on the opening turn. And speaking of opening turns, we didn't even get to talk about it. There's just a dark energy on a Lily's Clefairy right now. Yep. There's nothing.
Not much happening for Giovanny. Andres will bench a few more Pokemon here. Of course, if Giovanny were to fill his own bench, that would be enough on its own to KO the active Raging Bolt with the Full Moon Rondo. So he's got to play around that. He's going to, even though it makes it a little bit easier for Giovanny to take this potential KO with just a Psychic Energy attachment, he's got to play into that a little bit. Continue to draw some cards here as well with Teal Mask Ogerpon EX.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. 3 energy to open the game, a Noctowl waiting in the hand. I think that was even Pheasantipity added if there is to be a KO here, if Giovanny finds all the resources and then adds Prime Catcher to his hand. There are some resources in that hand, Rare Candy and Ultra Ball, but you missed the basic Pokemon.
There is an Ultra Ball, so that will, I assume, get a Ralts, and that use of Lily's Determination could be incoming. We could also potentially see it get Pheasantipity, I suppose. It's pretty good odds off of Lily's plus Fez that Giovanny would find an out to the Ralts, but better safe than... Oh, no, never mind. It will indeed be the Pheasantipity. A little bit of a risky play, Kyle. What do you think?
I don't mind it, as you don't have great odds to just make something of this with a single Ralts in play. You know that it's pretty likely your opponent could find a KO for this, so why not give yourself even more resources? Lily's Determination plus Pheasantipity, you have plenty of ways to draw into Ralts. Why not try to make it 2?
Also a basic psychic energy needed for Giovanny if he'd like to use Full Moon Rondo to take this KO, respond to Andres' aggression. I will say Gardevoir, not typically the deck that loves to prize race your opponent, but hey, I mean, with the Lily's Clefairy already in play, with it already in the active, with it already having an energy, I think you might as well.
Yeah, what else can you do at this spot? You need to keep up with the pressure that you see on the other side, and if there is a Lily's Clefairy staring you down, you don't have time to chase Ralts. You need to handle the threat.
8 cards found from Lily's Determination. Still 3 can be drawn from Flip the Script. Still needs to find a way to get Ralts into play. 1, 2, 3 cards drawn, and how about 2 of those being Ralts?
Yeah, not only that, but Nest Ball in the hand. We saw a Mew as well. This is a full board and a Psychic Energy. He found it all, and that's what you do when you have 11 cards to see with your supporter plus Pheasantipity. It lines up pretty well. You can keep up in the prize race, actually jumping ahead in here, and you just need to find that rare candy Gardevoir on one of the following turns. Any point in time you set that up, you have to think that it's going to be 2 prizes falling left and right.
Earthen Vessel puts a Psychic Energy down exactly where Giovanny wants to see it, and he is able to get 2 more. One will be attached to this active to get this attack rolling. Looks like he's got a Nest Ball and Darkness Energy for next turn to get a Monkey Dory rolling as well. Looking pretty nice, and actually will use the Nest Ball here now. Frillish could be an option. Does look like it is being debated. What will Giovanny land on here for this 4th bench spot?
Yeah, I think the Frillish does make some sense. You already have a Psychic Energy. There's no guarantee of Gardevoir on the following turn. We saw the rare candy in the hand, but nothing else to go with it. So if you ever do need to buy time after some of those big discards you see on the other side, Frillish usually can do that for you. In combination with a counter catcher even, you know that you'll have maybe an additional turn.
Psychic Energy attached to the active now, and the 1-hit KO. Giovanny jumps ahead in this game for the first time here in the finals, and now drawing for turn is Andres. He has that Flip the Script Pheasantipity in hand. 1, 2, 3 cards to be drawn. What is his best response going to be to this active Lily's Clefairy?
At this point, I think you have to just keep your foot on the gas. You have 5 prize cards remaining. You see a Lily's Clefairy that needs to be removed, and it's not like you can do anything about the hand size anyways. So just try to set up some energies on your side of the board, and can certainly do that here with this hand. There's a Teal Mask Ogre Pond. There's a few more resources with the Night Stretcher and the Noctowl. The one problem is you don't see the Area 0 Underdepths yet, so perhaps that will have to be one of the pieces from Jewel Seeker.
Unable to extend the bench super wide at this point, but like you said, Jewel Seeker could find that one of Area 0 Underdepths. As we know, one is in the prize cards. So he's got one more still hanging around. Looks like Latias is being eyed as a potential card to grab here. The Sandy Shocks EX is also online as a way to accelerate energy. That's perhaps a way that he could KO this Lily's Clefairy EX. It's also a Pokemon that's not Dragon type, so it wouldn't become weak to Psychic or Lily's Clefairy to come back.
Yeah, a few things to consider there with that, and I think the supporter in the hand was Crispin, so if you want to accelerate to that Pokemon, by all means, you could.
Nest Ball and Earthen Vessel being debated right now with the Jewel Seeker. So Nest Ball could find him whatever necessary attacker he deems. Earthen Vessel finding the energy to fuel it. Perhaps the energy for a Teal Dance upcoming. We'll think a little bit about this Earthen Vessel, though. Does he want to lock that in? No, it will be that Area 0 Underdepths. He needs to make sure he can go wide.
Yeah, I think this makes the most sense. Just give yourself that big setup that you need. If your opponent does find Counter Stadium at that point, then yes, you can always remove that Noctowl or some of these other Pokemon off of the board and still work with something here. And then maybe you find that last Area 0 if the Rocket's Watchtower is to show up, because you have a chance to draw into it from your prizes.
And this will line up for the KO. Latias providing free retreat. That energy does not have to be discarded from the Teal Mask. And now with 3 energies being discarded, that will be 210, more than enough to take down Lily's Clefairy EX. And how will Giovanny be able to respond? Andres has now jumped back ahead 3 prize cards taken to Giovanni's only 2. Does Giovanni have Rare Candy Gardevoir? I already see the Rare Candy in hand, Kyle.
I think he's got some good news because off of those prize cards, I think the pink card was added, and magic happens when you have the secret box. You can find just about everything. As long as there's a copy of Ultra Ball, this will work out fine. It's a lot of discards, but we will see the Gardevoir here, and you have to think as well that Lily's Clefairy could be reunited with the board.
Yeah, could bring that back with a Night Stretcher. We also could see an interesting line from Giovanni where he attacks with the Jellicent EX with Lily's Clefairy on the bench, could overload that Pokemon, make it so that the Raging Bolt is weak to Psychic, and take it out with the Power Press.
Yeah, I like that as well. And sometimes it just takes that unique Pokemon in a spot like this to make an impact. With the Secret Box, you have to think this is a good turn here with 3 prize cards remaining to work in the Watchtower and to work in an Iono. If you do that right here and also have a Gardevoir, how does Andres come back from that?
And if he could combine it with the item lock, hey, that looks pretty good to me.
Ooh,
There's the Iono and that Watchtower. Let's see if it is going to be that line with the Jellicent here. Or will it be something else? The nice thing about Jellicent in this matchup for Giovanni is that Andres needs to play supporters to get energy out of the deck or the discard pile, be it the Professor Zada's Vitality, be it the Crispin. And if he's playing one of those cards, that means he is not playing Boss's Orders to move Jellicent to the bench.
And look how many cards need to be moved at this stage in order to come up with this play. There's a lot of discarding that goes into this. And yeah, I appreciate that Giovanni will take his time to find the right play here.
Definitely a super technical moment here in the game. And there's plenty of options. You know, we've outlined one involving the Lily's Clefairy, but it's not necessarily needed. Could Counter Catcher, KO Pheasantipity with an Iono play, plus the Watchtower. That is also another option that seems pretty strong to me.
I mean, even the Frillish, if you're not going to take a knockout in that spot, at least with the disruption and the item lock and some damage being moved over to the other side by way of Monkey Dory and Dark Energy, it doesn't have to be a quick game for you, but at least putting some pressure on Andres to find exactly the right resources off of the Iono could be the difference.
Looking to use Flip the Script, of course, does have to shuffle off the Secret Box. Good catch there from Andres. Make sure everything's on the up and up here. And Giovanni will draw 3 cards after this shuffle. Perhaps looking for a Gardevoir so that he doesn't have to use the Ultra Ball. Perhaps just looking for cards that he's okay discarding as well. 1, 2, 3 added to the hand. Artisan, I think he's fine to see that go down. Perhaps Earthen Vessel as well. Not as needed with a bunch of Psychic Energy already gone.
I mean, really gets to thin through at this point to see something nice off of the Iono, but you'd like to have most of the work done beforehand. And I think he feels comfortable at this stage now. You have the multiple Ultra Balls. You can Rare Candy out into the Gardevoir. He has an additional Curlia, so it looks like you're going to cash in on the retreat cost of the Gardevoir in the active spot. And this is a beefed up Mew now to avoid some shenanigans if that Pokemon were to ever be targeted.
It looks like he actually could go with the genome hacking of the Mew to KO Raging Bolt. That is also an option. He can load up as many energies as he wants with Gardevoir and, hey, just use Bellowing Thunder. Doesn't even need Lily's Clefairy in play to deal enough damage to take a knockout.
There's a lot of different ways to do this at this stage. It just depends on how comfortable Giovanni is with the prize cards. If you take 2 prize cards in this spot, you will walk into the Pheasantipity. Maybe if you can slow that down and help with the Monkey Dory, you feel more comfortable. But it's not time for that. It's Rare Candy Gardevoir, it's Rocket's Watchtower, and it's Iono.
Ultra Ball able to get rid of 2 more Psychic Energy, which were found off of Earthen Vessel. Still had a couple more remaining in the deck. Now with Gardevoir EX in the active spot, he'll be able to Psychic Embrace. He'll be able to retreat this Pokemon. Is it going to be that genome hacking, copying the Bellowing Thunder? That seems like the attack he's lining up here. I think we are going to see that Watchtower. Sure enough, here it comes. 1 Pokemon to be discarded. It will be the Noctowl from Andres, and Iono will send both players' hands to the bottom of the deck. Kyle, Andres just took that Area 0 Underdepth off of his prizes. I don't think he's pumped to see it go down.
No, that means finding that resource is all but impossible here. You need to find an item card to go along with this to get a shuffle and then draw into that resource again with your Professor Zada's Vitality. It's just asking a lot of your deck or the Pheasantipity to help out in this spot too, but he's going to make sure to read this card. If I'm going to say it, I'm going to say the right name.
Yes.
Bellowing Thunder.
4 energy needed in order to deal 280 damage, more than enough to take down Raging Bolt. This will also, of course, involve a bunch of damage counters being placed onto the Mew EX. Still has not used Adrenabrain, so there's 3 damage counters that can be moved over to Andres' side of the field. And Andres, I do not believe, has looked at his hand just yet, so still 3 cards waiting to see what he will have to respond. Giovanny will not forget to use Adrenabrain. 3 damage counters placed onto Pheasantipity. That's a nice target for a Gardevoir or perhaps a Screamtail later in the game. Down goes the Raging Bolt. Up comes Latias. What does Andres have? Did he find that 1 copy of Artisan that he plays? No, he does not.
But if you were to ever find the right cards, this could potentially be it. Earthen Vessel to shuffle the deck, and then Professor Sada's Vitality and the Pheasantipity to draw back up. If you're looking to find a way back into Area 0 Underdepths or that Artisan, perhaps you could in this spot.
He's also going to need to find an ancient Pokemon to attack with here. Raging Bolt EX in the discard pile from the last turn. He'll need to find another one to accelerate, to target with the Sada to get that draw necessary. So we'll thin out the deck first, grabbing a few energy cards, 1 grass, 1 fighting energy. He can, of course, also use Tealmask Ogerpon EX to draw a singular card. Not much, but sometimes that 1 card can be all the difference. 1, 2, 3 from Flip the Script. Is one of them going to be an ancient Pokemon? There is the Area 0.
Area 0. And an ancient Pokemon. There's the baby Raging Bolt.
Doesn't have a Noctowl in the hand currently, but he can draw with the Sada. But I don't know that the non-EX Raging Bolt is his optimal target here. Maybe all he can do... He is on odd prizes, so he could take out the Frillish, I think, with enough play. I know with the energy switch being prized, that does limit things quite a bit for him here.
And was that Night Stretcher added to the hand? Then you can have the second Raging Bolt EX now added. 2 targets for the Sada's Vitality. Is there a world where you draw into something like your Prime Catcher? Have we seen that yet?
Prime Catcher, we have seen it, but we have not seen it played. It's been floating around there in the deck.
Come on.
Was taken off the prize cards early on. If he could find Prime Catcher, KO the Gardevoir EX over on Giovanni's side, that would be an incredibly strong play. 1, 2, 3 cards to find it. Last card, is it the Prime Catcher? It's the Noctowl.
Hold up.
And that may as well be it, as that Jewel Seeker can search that piece out and target down Gardevoir should he want it.
Now, it's not a guarantee of anything at this stage. He wants to make sure that this is the right call. Do you have to remove the Gardevoir, or is the Pheasantipity more of a liability here? You're going to see plenty of cards drawn from your opponent on the other side with the Fez.
I mean,
the Gardevoir will bring the energies.
Yeah, it's got to be Gardevoir, right? Yeah. Because otherwise it's just game if he attacks with the Raging Bolt EX, right? Because Mew EX on board can just load up the energies. We'll see a repeat once again. So for Andres here, Jewel Seeker, any 2 trainer cards added to his options here. Prime Catcher immediately eyed as 1. Is that the line? Is he going to KO Gardevoir EX? Nest Ball is the first card he's put on the table.
Oh, so complicated at this stage. It's so much to consider. The Glass Trumpet brings even more energy onto the board. There has not been an energy attachment for the turn. Is there something where you can include the Prime Catcher and the baby Raging Bolt, maybe sniping something for 90 damage and leaving a bad Pokemon in the active spot, something like the Pheasantipity that would require a basic energy to retreat for the turn from hand?
I don't think he can get to 90. He can only deal 60, I believe, with the Raging Bolt. He can't get that 3rd energy.
Would have had to have searched out the energy switch at that spot, so won't have access to that. That's actually in the prizes. Maybe that was a consideration here for Andres.
2 energy being attached from the Glass Trumpet. Send up of the Raging Bolt, and he's just going to KO this Mew. And cross his fingers here, Giovanny not able to find a Lily's Clefairy. That would be the one piece Giovanny needs to win the game. Counter Catcher would also work for him as he would be able to target down Pheasantipity. Plenty of ways here for Giovanny to close this one out. Andres is going to just hope that this will be enough for him. Goes down to just one prize card remaining. What does Giovanny have? Is there a Counter Catcher? Is there any sort of
Scream
gust?
Tail.
Is there a way to get back the Lily's Clefairy? And that will do it. Night Stretcher found. Mew EX also working just fine. Plenty of ways to close this one out. This one probably the coolest. Genome hacking to copy Bellowing Thunder. We're going to a Game 3 in the finals.
Phenomenal play here from both of our players, and we see now Giovanny with a chance to make this happen, showing off that beautiful plethora of psychic energies he's acquired throughout his young history in the TCG and taking a big knockout there. It's so wild how this game goes back and forth, trying to match what your opponent has done on the other side, as there's just these little pieces that you need to lock out. The Rockets Watchtower, such a big play, but Andres, he played around it, tried to come up with something huge. Just wasn't enough this time.
He drew out of it. He was able to piece together just enough, but it wasn't quite enough, and Giovanny closes out the game. Andres is going to choose to go first here in this Game 3. I think that's what we would expect from this turbo deck. He just wants to get an additional energy in play. Going first also lets him make the Teal Mask Ogerpon, or excuse me, Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX much more of a threat. It also lets him make the non-EX Raging Bolt much more of a threat, should either of those be choices for him. Let's recap that second game quickly before we get into this third one.
Yeah, I mean, it started with the prize cards here. As soon as we saw those, we knew we were in for a wild one. But Andres did still have a pretty solid start. Got off that opening KO, and Giovanny really held his own ground. As that Dark Energy hit the Lily's Clefairy, we were laughing for a second, but he found enough Pokemon to make it a viable threat. Followed this up afterwards, being KO'd by a Raging Bolt, and then knocks it out with the Mew EX. We see Andres really reaching here at this stage, trying to find the answer. Finds the Noctowl. It looks like Prime Catcher Gardevoir, but he forgoes it. Wants to wait one more turn, have that guaranteed answer, and Giovanny just finds the right cards waiting for him with the Pheasantipity.
Yeah, and ultimately I do think it does probably make more sense to KO the Mew there, because you lose to Night Stretcher anyway, right? So if you KO the Gardevoir, you now lose to Night Stretcher or Ultra Ball or Gardevoir, right? So it's more outs for Giovanny to potentially win. I think Andres knew it was probably pretty unlikely, but KOing the Gardevoir, or excuse me, the Mew EX was going to be his best line. And here we go, Kyle. It all comes down to this one. Plenty of time here. 28 minutes still remaining in this finals, with Raging Bolt being one of the decks. I think we should know that that is enough time to get a natural conclusion here. How is Giovanny going to be able to combat going second here? How good will Andres' start be with going first?
Well, not only going first, but also starting one of the ideal Pokemon you'd have to think in that baby Raging Bolt, it looks like this time around. There's also the addition of a Mulligan to go along with this, so even if it isn't that perfect start of the Wellspring Ogerpon energy attachment and then finding Crispin for later on, this could be enough. We've seen time and time again, ask Christian Lavella, if you get that Pokemon rolling and take all of the Curlia and Ralts off the board, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it'll be a little awkward. I feel like the Wellspring Mask is so much stronger as an option now. You know, Raging Bull players for a long time did not have that Wellspring Mask as an option, but that can be just a way to clear multiple Pokemon all in one single turn and set your opponent back a full turn.
All right, we have a game here. It is Championship Sunday, and we will crown our Toronto Regional Champion soon. Which of these players from the Latin American region will it be? Will it be Andres? Will it be Giovanny? Let's hear it for our competitors. We move into Game 3.
And we will kick things off with the start of Raging Bolt, as you call out. Monkey Dory on the right side for Giovanny. Let's see what else Andres has. Is there a Fan Rotom? Is there a way to get Ditto maybe in the active spot? What's he working with here? Looks like Ultra Ball being eyed up. That may have to be what he goes for if he wants to find Fan Rotom.
Yeah, and the Fan Rotom is nice to see on this opening turn. Of course, the only time you can use that ability. However, doesn't look like there's any energy to go along with this. And how often does that happen? You didn't even prize any energy either. Just will not see those on the opening turn with 12 copies.
12 energy in the deck, but 0 in this hand. And he has to give up Asada in order to get this Fan Rotom set up, to get Fan Call up and running. I wonder what else he's got working here in this hand as well, because if he doesn't have a way to get a Terra Pokemon out, Jewel Seeker, I mean, it's in theory really strong, but you have to have a Terra Pokemon in order to get its effect.
Yeah, lower copies than you're used to seeing. Just the 2 copies of Teal Mask Ogerpon, the 1 Wellspring, and 1 of those in the prize card. So finding that Terra at the right time, how about right now? Works out pretty well. He's going to just Ultra Ball for that instead. Wow. That is really showing off to Giovanny how limited this hand could be. Could you imagine Watchtower right here?
That is super telling of this opening hand. Oh, Andres is actually holding on to that area 0 under
and he knows. He knows. That's exactly what you need to do here.
Great turn to hang on to it. Now let's see for Giovanny with the ability to play a supporter card. What is he going to do? Starts it off with the bench of a Ralts. I'm sure he's happy to see that in his opening. What else does he have available? Will there be pink card action here on turn 1? Or is he going to be able to play it a little slower?
I see. Looks like Artisan and a rare candy, maybe a research to go with that, but the Earthen Vessel discard of the Monkey Dory now will give him some energies to work with here, see some early psychic energies, and figure out those prize cards, where he'll find out that he doesn't have the Watchtower once more, and he's also down to 2 psychic energies and a copy of rare candy. Chip, if he discards this rare candy right now, he will have 1 remaining. To get this initial Gardevoir.
Yeah, really relying on rare candy with this build. So I think he's maybe noticing, yeah, Watchtower not available. That could have been a strong card. As he was searching through the deck, he taps, yes, Secret Box here and available. So maybe there.
Ooh, there's Arven in the hand.
Will be that one of Arven here, and that is indeed what he looks at. Will he be playing it now?
The energy attachment makes me think that this is more of a Lily's determination now. If you want to use Arven in Secret Box, you're probably throwing away 2 psychics. So instead, we'll see 8 fresh cards. Has that rare candy to hold on to. Plenty of great cards to find here, and you also aren't terribly worried about what your opponent's doing on the other side.
Yeah, he's definitely
single hoot.
Definitely not feeling as much pressure here based on what Andres had. And I have to wonder, if that Rocket's Watchtower was in the deck, would that have changed Giovanny's play? Would we have seen Arven for the Watchtower?
That's a great point. Yeah, that you could have just completely sent that hand, seen what could have happened, and instead, this does pay off fairly well for Giovanny. He finds the Secret Box. He has Ultra Ball in hand. He has this follow-up in Lily's Determination and double Ralts in play. There is no threat to this hand.
Oh, and I think that was a top deck Ultra Ball for Andres, and I think that's what he needed. There was nothing happening in this hand. He was going to draw and pass unless he found a way to get Noctowl.
That's crazy. There's just nothing else happening on this side of the board. Has the Crispin and can get a little bit of energy into play now, but you're not putting on relevant damage. There's a Monkey Dory staring you in the face, too. Anytime that you attack in without taking a KO, you know the damage is coming right back to you.
Andres could still technically pull together a knockout here with the Raging Bolt, should he find the Teal Mask Ogerpon plus a Grass Energy plus an Energy Switch. But
what world are you living in?
I mean, listen, Jewel Seeker finds a lot of great combo pieces, but that might be 1 too many.
Well,
or 3 too many.
With the attachment here, along with the energy from the Crispin, I'm not so sure we're seeing the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, and we definitely are not. It's going to be the pass. Now over to Giovanny. How is he going to respond to Andres' slow start?
This is dangerous. This easily could be Rare Candy, Gardevoir, Scream Tail, KO, Hoot Hoot, and then there's nothing that you can do with that stage of the game. You have a baby Raging Bolt in the active that maybe knocks out a Ralts next turn. You're getting nowhere.
Can Giovanny get access to enough energy cards, though? That would be the question I'd have at this spot. There's only the 1 Psychic on the active, none in the discard pile.
You just need 1 more energy in the discard at that point. You have access to the Monkey Dory. You'd have to have the just 2 energies to accelerate from your Gardevoir to KO the Hoot Hoot.
I don't think he's quite got it here, though, Kyle. He can't get Rare Candy and Earthen Vessel off of Secret Box. He could get Arven and Rare Candy, so that does get 2 of the pieces here.
But look, he's going to take a little bit of a hedge now. Sees the Rare Candy Gardevoir that he can work in, but then may just play the Artisan and then the Lilies for 8 and hope to see the rest of the pieces. But certainly, with as many cards as you have right now, you'd have to expect that you could find a Psychic Energy to go with this.
Looks like Ultra Ball is going to be the opening play here post Secret Box. Of course, have to imagine Gardevoir EX will be found. Worth noting that the Mind Bend of Monkey Dory could technically KO the Raging Bolt should Lily's Clefairy come down, plus a damage counter moved over with a Trinabrain. So that's something on the table here, Kyle. Yeah, there is a Dark Energy in hand, and there's the Artisan to search out Monkey Dory if you like that, but I think the Psychic Energy is pretty valuable. We'll see. He actually is going to make a bit of a hedge play now. Can find the Lily's Clefairy to do that, or will find the answer here post Lily's Determination. Looks like Artisan and Lilies are the last 2 cards to debate. Does he put Artisan down? And that answer is going to be no. He does not want to give Andres access to finding another Hoot Hoot. Yeah, I think that probably is the right call at this stage. And having the counter stadium to the original Area Zero Under Depths might be a nice find as well. If you do find that Watchtower later on in the game, you'd love to make sure that it might be sticking around. I wonder if this is going to signal here to Andres that the Rocket's Watchtower is prized as well. That would have been a pretty solid turn for Giovanny to, in theory, have put it down. Hey, oh, there's an Ultra Ball with the Psychic Energy. I was wondering if there was a way to discard that, and does find that. That is perfect to find at this stage of the game. You can search out that Screamtail if you want to remove Hoot Hoot at this stage. Just depends on what he values most. I think you got to take away the engine. That is going to be the grab here. Screamtail hits the bench with that Psychic Energy being discarded. Psychic Embrace can place the requisite damage counters for Roaring Scream to deal 80. Take a knockout down would go this Hoot Hoot. Andres does have that Raging Bolt established, which can start to rain down damage on Giovanny's side of the field. Something that Giovanny will have to deal with at some point in this game. But I think, yes, taking out the Hoot Hoot seems like the strongest start. Not before Mystery Garden draws him a few cards. Yeah, disposing of the Dark Energy of all. A little unfortunate to see that, but still knows where that is for the long run. If you find that second Monkey Dory, you can really start to spread some damage, but that's not the consideration here. Removing Hoot Hoot does a lot of work for him, and now he starts to get into those prize cards here. Another Hoot Hoot here for Andres. Got a feeling that that may be going down once again, though I suppose Thunderburst Storm could just KO this active. Andres will bump the Mystery Garden. This is just Ultra Ball, Fez, and Prey. That's what he's going to have to rely on here. Could also get out a Noctowl if he wants it. But it's actually going to be the Mew restart with no cards in hand. I mean, that's better than Fez right now. You can draw Fez with it and see even more resources, but checks out. And with the Hoot Hoot played this turn, there's not much else you can really see as far as finding the answer. Definitely an interesting game developing here. We'll see if Andres is able to find something to fight back. It's ball for Pheasantipity. Okay. Ultra Ball for Noctowl in hand. It's got a few more resources, but there are no energies in the discard pile just yet. If you find a supporter to help out, it maybe has to just be Crispin at this stage in order to accelerate energies. Yeah, can't use the Jewel Seeker here with the new Hoot Hoot just now being benched. A draw of an Earthen Vessel, though, could allow him to discard a couple of energy cards. So that could lead to a Sada in the future turns. And right now you have enough to knock out the Screamtail, which is nice to take away this Pokemon and force the use of a Night Stretcher if you need to. You have the Dark Energy already in the discard pile, so you can think of a few resources for Giovanny that he'd like to use that on. If you force that action, then maybe you don't have to worry about that card later on. Thinking through his attachment potentially for turn, it looks like the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon will be the choice. I gotta ask, Kyle, why did they make the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon Full Art green. Like, how is that not Teal Mask Ogerpon?
I have enough trouble as it is, okay? This is not nice for us.
Why are there 4 of that guy, you know? Andres takes the KO, able to tie the game up. Giovanny happy to promote this Gardevoir, which will freely move to the bench. And also, of course, happy to get down Pheasantipity EX. Nestball finding that Pokemon, flip the script online after the KO from Andres last turn. So that will be the draw power, the draw engine here of the deck for Giovanny.
Okay, now we can go into the perfect universe. Do you think the answer for Giovanny here is if you could potentially find a Pokemon like Jellicent and then also have the Lily's Clefairy, you could have an attacking two energy Pokemon that locks out items on this side of the board when your opponent has 1 energy on a Wellspring?
And I think that's the difference here between these 2 decks in this matchup. The options, the different routes you could take as Gardevoir feel almost endless. So many different Pokemon could attack at any given time, all of them feeling strong at different points. But for Raging Bolt, it's very straightforward. Make whatever attacker your hand allows you to and just operate from there.
And now we'll see what that answer is for Giovanny. With the Ultra Ball added, there are Dark Energy in hand. So Double Monkey Dory really leads to accelerating the clock if you're worried about that category, or he can play defensively. He's going to go for the Kirlia to make sure that if anything crazy happens to his Gardevoir, he has at least a little bit of play afterwards.
Yeah, and I really like that play here. We know Andres has the potential to pop off at any given time through the Prime Catcher, through the Sada. He could make a 1-hit KO on a Gardevoir, seemingly come out of nowhere. So why not protect yourself as much as possible? And we're seeing what you called out, Kyle. Jellicent EX to the active spot. Power Press will take the knockout on Raging Bolt here. He's going to overload this Pokemon in order to deal extra damage and also potentially play around the future KO of a Gardevoir. Of course, having to overload it here actually with no Lily's Clefairy being in play, so needing to deal that extra damage here. 160 down goes Raging Bolt.
And isn't that great? You see the damage to the Pheasantipity, even thinking ahead, making sure that both the Mew and the Pheasantipity are 1 Monkey Dory push away from being power pressed off the board for 2 more prize cards. Giovanny really thinking of everything. The pressure is all on Andres, and he is trying to find some help. That looks good in a binder, but not here. Those energies are doing nothing just yet.
And Andres knows that this is a little awkward for him. Ultra Ball can unlock Noctowl now, and he's just going to extend a hand, Kyle. That's it. Andres recognizes the situation he finds himself in. It seems unlikely, so he's going to hand it over to Giovanny, the Toronto regional champion.
A nod of respect to Giovanny Sasso, as Andres understands my opponent is definitely good enough to find his way through this game. He set up an immaculate board at that stage of the game. There was nothing else that you can do here. And we've seen time and time again, there is a bright shining star in Brazil. Yeah. It was Giovanny for a time, and it is Giovanny again.
Yeah, wow, what a moment. Congratulations, of course, to Andres. An incredible tournament run with a deck that nobody really respected, nobody really gave much credence to. He's able to prove that it is still something players should consider and give pause, give check to when debating what to play for any given Pokemon tournament.